What's going on, everybody? How we doing today? It's a wonderful Tuesday, but it feels like Saturday. Like yesterday was Monday, and then all of a sudden it's Saturday. That's what it feels like, at least. Let's see. How we doing, YouTube? Hold the front door. Let me see if Instagram's here. I don't think Instagram's working. One moment. Go, checking connection. There you are. What's going on, Instagram? We're live now. Just a few connection issues is all, but we've resolved it because we're coders and we solve problems. What's going on, Andrew? Welcome to the stream. Freddie Gonzalez, regular hater. Hey, regular hater, what's up? Let's see, who else do we have? Arevats, Bits, Kagor Jr. 19. You guys, I love this. Today, everybody has easier usernames. It's nothing like super insane like what it's been. Like yesterday, all of your usernames were insane. Like, who can read that stuff, right? All right, what's going on, everybody? Vidya, Raymond Hotel Wi-Fi. Hey, what's up? Baba Jed. What's going on? Hey there, YouTube, Bear, and Chanel. 8 Exeter Harry's. See that? I don't know how to pronounce that. I'll just call you Harry's. Anyways, welcome everybody. I'm Jason with DevSlopes, full stack engineer over here and web instructor of our DevSlopes Web Academy. I help students learn how to code. We're just going to, kick it off with questions. If you guys are curious about freelancing, jobs, starting to learn to code, technology stacks, any of that fun stuff, or we can talk about skateboarding, whatever you want. Yeah, we can do whatever. The developer story says, how are you, man? I'm doing fantastic. I have been coding all morning. All right, so I'm building one of these Slack clone apps in React, and I'm using Socket.io, and I've got my Mongo database running, and I'm using Socket.io for these live listeners for like chats and things like that. And I hate it when you spend all this time, you solve the problem. Like, I got everything working. I finally finished the app. Then I'm like, all right, I'm going to do some code cleanup. And I go and I just get rid of some of my commented out code and then some code that I assumed wasn't really, doing anything. And then I go and save it and run it and everything's broken. It's like, what the heck? I just spent all this time. Project was working perfectly 10 minutes ago. And then I just broke it. And so now I get to debug and find out what the flip I did. But that's always a pleasure. Oh, let's see. Tiago, hey, started today JavaScript. I wonder what's more reliable, be a freelancer or get a remote full-time job. So I would definitely say there's more opportunity in freelancing. Like, you can land some pretty big projects. Like the biggest project I landed when I was doing freelance a couple of years ago was I landed a client, paid out, I think it was just over $100,000 in 10 months. Like, that was an awesome client. And I was building an actual piece of software. It was a larger project. And so I brought on 2 other developers. And so there's loads of opportunity in freelance, lots of flexibility. You can run your schedule. But at the same time, I mean, there's always those risks and like how long, might you go before you get the next project? Like, there's a lot of effort you have to do to keep that pipeline full with projects. But I did freelancing for, just over a year. I provided for my family of 5 at the time. I got a family of 6 now. But yeah, so I was able to do it on freelancing. But, if you get a job, there's obviously security in that. But sometimes there's a ceiling. So it just depends on what you want to do. Harry's asks, hey, is Python good for programming and which tool is best for Python? Yeah, Python's fantastic. It solves a lot of, problems and everything. And so I always encourage developers to choose a technology stack that is going to be scalable and modular with whatever the software is that you're trying to build. And if Python is a good solution for that software, that's great. Like, for an example, when I do web development, I love using Node for the backend because I can write server-side code in JavaScript and just run it with Node, and that way it keeps everything in the same code base. And I don't have to do like a front-end project in like JavaScript and React and such, and then go learn a different programming language like Python or PHP or whatnot for the backend. But as far as which tools is best for Python, I don't know. I haven't done a lot of work in Python. I've dabbled in it. I've written code in Python, but this was a while ago. Since I do web development, primarily, I try to keep everything with, Node, Mongo, and Express. All right. Hey, let's see, Bear asks, I'm very beginner at programming. I wonder what is the best path to choose programming. So first, pick a path of, do you want to do apps? Do you want to do iOS apps or Android apps? Do you want to do web development? And then that's going to determine the tech stack that you're going to be learning. But you can start out with free tutorials on YouTube. There's cheap courses on Udemy. The only problem with that is if you're like serious about programming, if you're trying to do it on your own, it's super hard. Okay, it's really easy to get discouraged. And here at DevSlopes, we've got our DevSlopes Academy for iOS, Android, and web. And you'll actually be able to work with me, a real-life instructor who has, code experience. I used to be a full-stack engineer at Dell, but I'll work with you one-on-one to help you learn how to code and to land freelance projects and to get a job. Like, that's just what we do here at DevSlopes. So we've got a whole training program you could check out. It's devslopes.com/apply, and you can get a free career path coaching call. All right, Instagram. I'll hop over to these chats here in just a moment. I'm just picking these off of YouTube right now. Pure positivity for web development interview. Do they normally ask you to solve whiteboard problems? Yeah. When I was interviewing for jobs and stuff, I did a lot of whiteboard solutions. And they're actually really good because what they're trying to do is to get your thought process on things like the whole fizz buzz. That's a very common JavaScript exercise. And I remember having to whiteboard that out. The very worst is when you have to do live coding. So there's a, oh my gosh, I don't think it's called HackerRank, but I want to say it's along the lines. Maybe it is HackerRank. But what it is two people can log into the same editor. And then you're like on this Zoom call with the company. And then they have like their senior, lead engineer on the call, and then they're asking you to solve certain code problems. And then you have to do it live in front of them. And it's like so much pressure. I hated that a lot, but that's just the way it rolls sometimes. All right. I'm going to hop over here to Instagram for a little bit, shed some love over here. How's it going, Instagram? Let's see, what do we have? Wow, there's so many comments here. All right. Hey, is Electron.js enough for complex company apps? DevSlopes has built Electron apps. I was never actually on that particular project. I can't really answer to that. I haven't really worked with Electron a lot. Again, I've dabbled in it a couple of years ago, but never did anything gnarly with it. What's up, the dev sloper story? Developer story. I thought it was like the dev slope story. That's cool. All right. How the heck are you so good at CSS? I don't know. I've been doing it for a long time. I think, dude, CSS is a nightmare anyways. It's part of it's part of the paranormal. All right. CSS is one of those things that even if you think that you know it like the back of your hand, you don't. It's got paranormal tendencies, and it gets, puts off strange behaviors. It doesn't matter how good you are at it. It's just, it sucks, but it's fun at the same time. But yeah, just lots of practice and Googling is all. CSS is too much to memorize. You can almost find anything you want to do with CSS with a Google. So I'll say that I'm good at CSS because I know how to Google for all my stuff that I just copy and paste over. Thank you, everybody. I'm doing super good. Let's see. Santi Shevrik, what is the cost of the web programmer? Or what is the cost to be a web programmer? Well, it depends on where you're getting your education. Like you go to college, do a computer science degree, but by all means, you don't need a computer science degree at all to be a developer. You could do the free path. DevSlopes has a DevSlopes Academy that you can enroll in, and you can set up a call with one of our career planning coaches, and check out the pricing there. There's different pricing options, so I don't want to just say one. Just go schedule a call and talk to our team. But it just depends. And DevSlopes Academy is really cool because, like, if you want to do web development, I will personally work with you to learn programming and to land freelance work and to land a job. Like, I won't stop working with you until you're successful. Let's see, favorite freelance website. I know Upwork's really popular. So when I first got into web development, like 5 or 6 years ago, when I was looking for work, like I never used Upwork. And when I was doing freelance work, I never used Upwork. I have a background like 10 years in sales. And so I just knew a lot of people who own businesses and companies and entrepreneurs. And so I networked. I went to networking events and, networked with other business owners and things like that. And instead of landing like websites, like just a little website, I always tried to land software projects because that's what paid out the big bucks. And they're usually more long-term. And so you can count on continuous cash coming in every month. But yeah, network events is where it was at for me. How long should I spend learning JavaScript before starting with React? You should be proficient in JavaScript, not like more than just knowing the basics. You should know how to be able to write logic, like code that does stuff with JavaScript before you dive into React. It's just going to make the transition a lot easier. Millionaire Words. Hey, dude. Hey, what's up? What is the price of your course of coding? So just go to devslopes.com/apply and then talk to one of our career coaches. They've got tons of different payment options. It's usually about the price of a semester of college. So it's very affordable. All right, what else do we have? The developer story. I have messed up too while refactoring code. Yeah, it's the worst. Like Command-Z can only go so far. And especially if you're working in multiple files, it's like, wait, which one did I screw up? So, yeah, I love it. All right, what else do we have here? So the developer story asks, you did freelancing alone or with a team? So when I was taking on small projects, like most of them were websites, like static websites or maybe a web portal that did something. Those ones I did alone. But some of these larger pieces of software, like this one client that I landed, I've mentioned, paid out over $100,000 in 10 months. This guy had deep pockets. It was really nice. That one, I hired 2 other developers. The project was just way too big for me. The back end, like it managed like a lot of data, like lots of user data. And at that time, I could write back-end code, but I didn't feel confident enough in my skills to do it myself. Like there was a lot of stuff happening with the back-end and user information and all sorts of fun stuff and privacy and security and all this stuff. So I had to hire 2 wizards. I always thought of them as the Harry Potter of developers. They were so smart, just brilliant. Their brains were amazing. What's up, First EPC or PWC? Hello from Turkey. Welcome. Let's see. Hey, oh, wait. I already answered that question. Where are we at here? We already asked that question. Too old to become a developer, 35 years. Absolutely not. So I got into programming in my mid-20s or like just over my mid-20s. And it's never too late. So we have we have people enrolled in our academy. Some of these students are 55 and 60s or 60. So it's never too, you're never too old to learn programming. There is such a demand for programmers. Like companies just want people, you know, to be able to code. So yeah, it's never too late. Definitely get into it. And the doors and opportunities that programming opens, like in my own personal experience and people that I know who have transitioned from paycheck to paycheck jobs into being a developer, it's completely changed their financial situation and just opened up opportunities that they never had before. So yeah, get into coding. It's awesome. What is the best developing job? I don't know what you mean, like best paying, the funnest. I think that's all in the eye of the beholder. After I apply on your website, what will go on the WhatsApp? So the WhatsApp is like if you're out of country, all right? Like if you want to text us, so there's a number you can actually directly text DevSlopes. But if you're like out of country or anything, use the WhatsApp to contact us. But once you go to devslopes.com/apply, you'll fill out, you know, the application and stuff. Let's see. Hey, bro, I really love your content. Hey, thank you. I appreciate that. I'll get over here to YouTube in just a moment. Let's see. Someone asks Mac or PC for coding. Again, I think this can come down to easily personal preference. So when I was a full stack engineer at Dell, of course, we used PCs. It was fine. No real issues with it, but I feel like Mac it's easier to develop with. Like as far as like out of the box developing, Macs come ready out of the box to code. With Windows, there's a lot of environmental setup to get a Windows ready for, you know, production programming, but Mac is just set up out of the box. But once you have it set up, then, you know, it's all, for the most part, smooth sailing. But Windows is always forcing you to do updates. Like in the middle of coding, it's like blue screen, hey, got to give you this update. And then it takes, you know, an hour and a half to update. So that was frustrating. But yeah, they're both fine. Can I find work with only SQL knowledge? Probably. Like, I mean, you should probably develop a little bit onto that. I already know, like, working with SQL. So when I was at Dell Computers as a programmer, we had one of our backend engineers. He was the SQL guy, but he also knew other programming languages, or at least was able to dabble in them to, you know, get other things to be functional or whatever. So you're going to need to step outside the box a little bit. Curious little Gabe. Do you freelance? If you do, what has been your experience with it? Thank you. Yeah, I did freelancing a couple of years ago. I haven't done it since. Freelancing was great. It offered a lot of flexibility in my schedule. I actually landed some super good projects with it, was able to provide for my family. I really liked it a lot, but I just got tired of managing client expectations. And clients really like to milk you for like every dollar. Like, there's a lot of scope creep. You agree on one project, say, yeah, we're going to do X, Y, and Z, and it's like signed off on. And then through the entire development phase, they're like, oh, could you add this? Could you move this? Can you change this? And it was really frustrating. And I just got out of it. So Blair Jonathan, paranormal. Yes, CSS is part of the paranormal. All right, I'm going to hop over here to YouTube. Let's see what kind of action has been happening over here. Let's see. Edward asks, hello, do you have experience with iOS plus Arduino? I don't know what, or I think you're saying Android. If Arduino is another programming language, I have no idea what that is. But yes, I've done both iOS and Android, nothing production, but I've built, I guess you could call it a tutorial app, right? Just some smaller projects with it just to get some hands-on experience. Let's see, Travis, do you think that what you want to do should be solely driven by your personal preference, or do you think it would be better that the decision based on what the market demands? Ooh, that's a good question. So Travis, one of the things that you have to also consider is, it's your life. Like, are you going to enjoy it? Like, there is, yes, what the market is in demand for. But at the same time, you have to ask yourself, are you going to enjoy your life, doing it? Like, for an example, my dad is a Java developer. There's lots of opportunities where he lives to be a Java developer. At the same time, there's lots of opportunity for web, iOS, and Android. To me, like he has a really good job too, really awesome salary. To me, programming in Java sounds like the most boring thing I could ever do. Like, it sounds so mundane, and I could never do what he does. That's why I work with technologies like React. React is super fun for me, and I like working with Node and writing server-side code with Node, and so that stuff interests me. But I really do believe that whatever technology you go for that you enjoy, that you're going to be able to find work with that somewhere, especially with the developer and the opportunity to be able to work remotely. I really think that you're going to be able to find someone who will pay you for whatever technology stack you learn. Hey, Philip, what's going on? Stop being so awesome. I can't help it. It's the mullet and skateboarding techniques that make me awesome. Just kidding. Jack, I want to be just like Jason. Okay, grow a mullet. That's the first thing you have to do. You got to mullet it up, and got to rock the backwards cap. All right. Bunyond, how I know if I'm ready to take a freelance project as an iOS developer. Specific advice, please. So, read through the requirements. The first thing is read through the requirements, and is it something that you feel is in your skill set? The other thing to really kind of test the waters is build a personal project that isn't a tutorial. Because when you're freelancing work, this is going to be a custom solution that you have to come up with, right? And so you need experience building personal projects that aren't a tutorial. Like, that's going to test your problem-solving skills and how well you can find answers. All right? So maybe do that first, but then also dive into some freelance projects, but just make sure the scope is within your capability. And that doesn't mean that you have to be super comfortable with the scope of work. Like, if there's some things that are going to kind of stretch you, that's okay. But you don't want to build something like completely out of your skill set. I did that. As like 12 weeks after learning to code, I went and I got I want to start getting some paid experience under my belt. So I found this contract position. It was just a 3-month contract position for a small company. They wanted me to build a very specific piece of software. And here I am, like 12 weeks, just brand new to coding with still 1,000 questions. And they were the first company that said yes to me. So I just took it. And the project was so beyond like my skill set, like way beyond my skill set, that I actually subcontracted somebody else to help me build it. So they contracted me, and then on the side, without them knowing, I subcontracted somebody else so I could actually deliver the project. It was awesome. It wasn't fun, but it's funny. How can someone get a free laptop to start coding? Ask family and friends. That's what I would do. See if they've just got a laptop to get rolling on. I'm sure there's maybe one you could borrow. So I had a family member who was trying to get into the programming scene, and they were just broke out of their mind and, living this paycheck to paycheck and everything. They couldn't afford anything. And there was a family member, one of my, family members that let him borrow a computer for while he was learning to code. And now fast forward, 3-4 years, and he's making well over 6 figures. He used to work at Costa Vida, flipping burritos, and he worked at a call center. And during his lunch break at this call center, he was learning how to code. And, he was just broke, working 2 jobs, living paycheck to paycheck. And a family member lent him a computer. And now he's making well above 6 figures as an iOS developer. So it's very cool stuff. All right, we're going to wrap up here in about 5 minutes, y'all. Let's see, what other questions do we have? Let's see, I'm 16 years old. I like scripting languages like Python, but I don't know what to learn. There is any role in programming that requires scripting? Greetings from Italy. Welcome. Francie, I would, any scripting languages like Python, that's something that you're just going to have to do a little bit of research for your area. Like off the top of my head, I don't have an answer for you. Let's see, does React support services like Angular? They're two different things. So Angular is a framework that covers end-to-end. It's full stack. So it covers everything from the client side, like UI manipulation, all the way to the back end. It has its own built-in HTTP services, things like that. And it's fantastic. It's a beast of a language to pick up for the first time, especially if you're newer to programming. And it has a lot steeper learning curve than React. And React is a library. It's really just a UI library. It's strictly for DOM manipulation. It doesn't have any of your routing, anything set up for backend, all that other stuff. You're going to have to set that up with React. All right, last question from YouTube, and then I'm going to hop over here to Instagram, shed some love over here. Which is the best way to get a job? Learn front end in depth, or to learn full stack to widen opportunities? So that's a great question, Akil, by the way. So you should definitely dive in and get very proficient with the front end. You should then dabble in the back end, but don't worry about becoming an expert in it, because what's going to happen is, as a front end developer, most companies are going to expect you to have some type of working knowledge with the back end, because there's going to be a back end developer building all the endpoints for the API. And as a front end developer, you need to know do all the data binding and connect that API into your UI to feed it data. All right, so that's going to be, that's a very common expectation as a front end developer. But then as you are doing front end development, you can then progressively move into back end. And that's exactly what happened to me at Dell Computers. I was hired as a senior front end UI engineer. And then after I'd say about 6 months being there, they decided they needed some help with the back end. And they knew that I was very open to, learning to code, that I wasn't like stuck in this, I'm a front end only developer. And so I started working with the senior back end engineer, and he started teaching me the back end and, writing all the different services and working with the database. And so that's how I went from a front end developer. And at Dell, I actually grew into a full stack developer. Like I had some experience before with the back end development, but at Dell, they pushed me into full stack, which was awesome. All right, Joel, I'm 50 years old and thinking about making a left turn into some kind of coding. I don't know if I want a steady gig or freelance, probably. So, hey, Joel, that's awesome. You're never too old to dive into it. So one of the most common things to do is, pick a technology stack, learn, that technology, become proficient in it. It's very, very common. And if you want to get like, a solid job, like a steady job with programming, it's very, very common to pick up some freelance projects first, because that's going to add a lot of credibility to what you're doing for an employer to see that somebody has paid you for your skills. All right, so it's very common to learn coding and then pick up some freelance projects and then move into a job. All right, let's see. We've got just a couple of minutes here. What else do we have? Hello, Instagram. You want to learn English first. That's a good start, okay? Let's see. Ali Z, you're telling me I am wasting my time with computer science degree? Ali, I will be truthful. Yes, you are wasting your time completely with a computer science degree and your money. Now, there's nothing against it, all right? Nothing against it, but Hands down, flat out, honest truth, you do not need a computer science degree at all to get a programming job. I'm a self-taught developer, and I ended up working for Dell Computers as a full-stack engineer. No computer science degree. At the end of the day, the programming industry has changed a lot in the sense like employers, it's pretty much come to the point where developers are in such high demand. An employer they don't give a rat's, butt if you have a computer science degree or not, because what is the goal? What is the only thing an employer wants or a client? They want somebody who knows how to code. And if you can code, then boom, there you go, hired, right? If you can't code, then it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you got your education, all right? Employers just want people who can code. I have a personal friend who did 4 years, got his computer science degree. Took him 4 years. He talked to me throughout the process, and I thought it was insane. Like, they would work on coding for about, a month, and then take like a 2-month break and focus on some other random topic, like not coding related. And I'm like thinking in my head, I'm like, wait a minute. Like, why would you do that? Like, you're learning to code. Like, learning to code, you have to have hands-on experience. Like, get your hands on a keyboard every single day. That's the only way you're going to learn and be successful with programming. If you're like learning for a month and then you take a 2-month break, you're going to forget everything that you just learned. And that's what my friend was telling me. He's like, it's very frustrating because we take these 2-month breaks and I forget everything, absolutely everything that I learned in that month. And plus, they're not teaching you practical skills to get a job. Like, one of the most basic things is using the terminal for version control. All right. Every single job, any job in the world or freelance project that you take on, you're going to be using version control, and they don't teach you that in college. So anyways, long story short, my buddy spent $75,000 for a computer science degree, and then he left it not knowing anything. He knew a bunch of theory in depth. That was cool, but he didn't have any hands-on experience, so his portfolio was pretty trashy. And then he knew that I was here at DevSlope, so I told him about our academies and stuff. But yeah, long story short, he's in the iOS program, and he says he has learned more about software development in 2 months than he has in the 4 years in college. So there you go. That's my testimony. That was a long answer, but there you go. Does JavaScript worth 2021? I think you're asking, is JavaScript worth learning in 2021? Absolutely. Heck yes. Let's see. Advice for a beginner developer. Pick what you want to do with programming, like what kind of things you want to build, like whether that be apps or web development, embedded systems, robots, whatever, and then learn that technology stack. You can find stuff for free on YouTube. If you want to accelerate your learning path, you can check out DevSlope's Academy. We've got academies for iOS, Android, and web development, and you get a mentor and weekly coaching and all that fun stuff. Go to devslopes.com/apply if you want to learn faster than most people. Prince, any Flutter guys here? I've done Flutter a little bit. Let's see, which programming language is the best? That's in the eye of the beholder. There's a lot of fantastic languages out there. Each have their own purpose. John B. the Genie, what's up? How's it going? All right, we're over time here a little bit, but I do want to try to get to these questions. All right. Prasanth Mohan, Mac or Linux for coding? Either or. It all works. I use Mac personally. I love it. Where do you get the clients for beginners? So you can do, and this is for freelancing. So clients for beginner developers, you can do Upwork, and they've got a lot of fantastic tutorials how to set up your Upwork profile, and then how to do proposals and things like that. And then I know COVID has changed the game in some things, but it seems like the world's starting to open up again. I went to networking events and talked to business owners and people like that, and landed clients who wanted software built. And when you're networking with these type of people, in most cases, they've got a much larger budget than somebody who wants just a simple landing page website. And yeah, software projects pay out more, and they usually give more stability because it's more of a long-term project. I wanted to get into AI, but don't even know about anything related to programming. Guide me, please. So you can, what you can do is just do a Google search for common AI programming languages. I can't think of any off the top of my head here, but see what technology stacks there are for AI, and then what job positions are available and what kind of things you can build, and then go learn that stack. I'm learning Python. What is your advice? Is the projects or the things that you can build with Python, is that what you want to be coding? Like Python can be used for backend services, for scripting, things like that. Like, is that the stuff you want to build? Or do you want to build apps, like iPhone, Android apps? Do you want to do web development? Do you want to build robots? Do you want to do AI? Like any of those things. So I think a lot of people, they learn Python just because it's super popular, and it is an amazing programming language. It is. But is what you want to do with programming, does that even require Python? Or are you just, wasting time? So let's see. Holy Moses, we've got so many questions, everybody. Okay, I'm going to just wrap this up here in 4 minutes. All right, Cassie Mizan, I'm RPA developer from Kazakhstan, Asia. I want to start work in the USA to get a job from abroad. Everybody's working remotely. You can always just apply for jobs or start taking, freelance projects on from people in the US. A lot of people here in the US, they like to do work with people overseas. And when I was at Dell, we had a team that was overseas, a development team. And so we had one stationed here in the US, a US team in Round Rock, Texas. And then we had another team over in St. Petersburg, over in Russia. Is there any other languages I should learn as an Android developer besides Kotlin and Java? I mean, you can extend on top of those into backend. Like you could start working with Mongo and Node. You could start working with Firebase. So get some backend technologies under your belt so you can build full. But Kotlin's really it. So like whole Android community is pushing everything Kotlin, all right? Everything. That's like the gold of Android, right? That's like the thing. Java is really good, and there's going to be jobs and even freelance projects that might be more of a legacy project, and you'll have to maintain or update the code, things like that. The cool thing with Kotlin is even if you have a legacy app built in Java, you can immediately start working with Kotlin and like just inject Kotlin directly into that app and start doing everything in Kotlin. So it's awesome. Let's see, Python versus C#. Again, it's a fork in the road. It's what do you want to do with it? That's literally what everything comes down to. What do you want to do with programming is going to determine what tech stack you're going to go. So it's not really one versus the other. It's what do you want to do? Can we be full stack without mastering HTML and CSS? You don't have to master HTML and CSS, but you do have to be very proficient with it. Like even when I was at Dell, so we have a full stack backend, we have a senior backend developer, and 99% of the time he only worked on the API and did backend development. But there was a handful of occasions where he was developing the backend, and he needed to build out a feature and build the front end of it, which means working with HTML and CSS and do all the data binding to be able to test out his backend code and then build some simple UI so he could pass it on to another developer. Now, he did not, he wasn't an expert by all means at all in HTML and CSS, but he did have to know some of it so he could, finish some of the tasks he was given. All right, let's see. Mohan gets turned down before interview because no bachelor's in computer science. I don't know anybody. Well, okay. There might be some jobs that say required, a computer science degree on the application. It's all bullcrap. Apply for the job anyways. Again, companies don't care. They just want somebody who can code. If you learn to code at Walmart and you're an expert developer, kudos to you. They don't care. Coding versus development, they're pretty much the same thing. I mean, I guess if people think one is different than the other, that's fine, but it's referred to the same thing. Do you prefer teamwork or working alone? I like working on a team. It's fun. Let's see, let's see, what do we have here? The idea behind doing this live session every day. The idea behind doing this live session every day, well, every day people have questions about coding and things like that. And so here at DevSlopes, it's just fun to hop on and chat with our fans and everything and give tips about programming and stuff. So John Rigorts, Node.js or PHP? It depends. Me personally, hands down, I go with Node every single time. I think PHP is gross. I do not like the syntax at all for PHP. I think it's a gross looking programming language, but that doesn't mean it's bad. Doesn't mean it's bad at all. I like Node also because I can keep everything in JavaScript. Me being a web developer, I can write all my backend code in Node. All right, keep everything JavaScript, and I don't have to go learn a different programming language. So for me, Node.js, hands down. John, I am answering questions from YouTube, Facebook, and Instagram. So yes, the questions that I am answering are coming from another source. All right. So I'm done with Instagram questions. Holy Moses, this is gonna go on forever. I could talk for days. Let's see what we have here on YouTube, and then we're gonna wrap this up. Let's see, F43 Shivam. Bro, should I do LeetCode, and CodeChef parallel, or LeetCode first, then CodeChef? Next, doubt for CP. Do I have to do both? CodeChef. These are like the same questions. I don't know what either of those are. I'm sorry, I cannot answer that. Yuri, where can I find networking events? So there's an app, or it's even a website. It's meetup.com. And you can find programmer meetups, developer meetups. You can find blockchain meetups, entrepreneur meetups, small business owner meetups, like everything. Meetup.com is where I always went to find my networking events. 32, Naveen, bro, how to start front end development from level 0. So the first thing you're going to do is, I mean, if you're doing web development, HTML, CSS, JavaScript, okay, you can find free tutorials online for this. There's also really cheap Udemy courses. If you want to take the fast track, then you can come to the DevSlopes Academy, and I will work with you personally and teach you from 0 to hero, or 0 to paid programmer. I'd be honored to work with you, help you learn how to code, land freelance work, get jobs, get paid. So go to devslopes.com/apply to get a free career coaching call. Arvind, bro, how to start front-end development? I just answered that. Anyways, everybody, this was fantastic. Thanks for everybody hopping on and hanging out. Appreciate all of you. Again, if anybody's got questions and want to learn how to code, if you want to work with me personally or another mentor or coach, go to devslopes.com/apply. And that's it. Other than that, have a rocking day. As always, stay positive, keep calm, and code on. Adios.